Hi, Stitching Cosmos fans. I'm Sarah, and this is a new month of the Stitching Cosmos challenge for 2021. Now, it doesn't matter which month you are actually working on or which lesson. I came up with this challenge mostly so I got something done on my quilt each month. So working through the 10 lessons of the Stitching Cosmos course, we are up to the paper piecing and piping block. So in this lesson, I've got a few tips to go over. And behind me here, we have one of our quilts that has kind of the braid for the paper piecing. And then this block here actually has the piping, and I want to talk about each one of them. And again, just to get you excited, get you back on track, because wow, 4 weeks go by very quickly, even for me. And I know with summer and everything going on, this challenge has kept me on track. So this has been the whole idea, is to make sure I got something done, and hopefully I'm inspiring you to get back to the lessons when you can. Now, if you're wondering what Stitching Cosmos is all about, we have links below this YouTube video where you can check out a handful of videos, see if this course is right for you. And if you really want to master all those wonderful presser feet that come with your machine or are available for your machine, this is the course for you. So some people have asked me, like, why did we put paper piecing in this quilt? So I'm remembering back when I was kind of in the designing process. Number one, the piping was a no-brainer, because adding that very fine piping, especially to curves, can really help offset and pop out those areas. Now, once you learn the techniques of the piping hot binding tool, is that you can't put binding on a quilt without adding that little pop of color. And that's what you see right here on this quilt. Even our Embroidery Essentials online course, I've got to add that right there into the piping, and it just gives it that extra element. Everybody always asks me, like, oh my gosh, how perfect is that? And I'm like, there's a tool for that. So again, I'm going to put links below where you can learn more about the piping hot binding tool, the techniques that Susan Cleveland, the designer, teaches, plus her Craftsy class is one of the best classes, probably one of the most viewed classes, because anything with binding is always so popular. She has got the best binding class. And the piping hot binding is just like one little side lesson, and yet it is such an important part. So adding it in, let's just talk piping real quick. We're talking about being able to add it to a quick little curve, and you just take your piece, you add on the piping, and then you add on the other block. And then so this is kind of what you end up with, is just that little extra pop of color. So this block, I love to just kind of let this block be perfect. I love to add the quilting to it, so it just kind of really adds when it's done. There's also another book, I'll just show you this since I had it close by, Piping Hot Curves by also Susan Cleveland. So curves and us, it just is like, yes, it's just perfect combination. The piping, what are we talking about? Cord. It's actually very, very fine cord. So that means that you're using a very small groove in a specific foot. So on a Bernina, you're actually using your foot number 23. That is an applique foot. So by its name, this is not what you'd expect, right? But the groove is the perfect size for covering the cord with your fabric. And then on the Viking, it is the mini piping foot that we have you use. And on the Pfaff, it's the narrow piping foot. So once you get into those lessons, we're going to show you what that is. When you buy the tool, you'll get the Piping Hot Binding book with it and a small amount of cord, so you can jump right in and get started. Once again, those Craftsy classes are wonderful. I highly recommend them. And I'm going to talk about the Craftsy classes for paper piecing. So if you really want to get into paper piecing more, I highly recommend that you once again jump over there. You could watch just one class. If you're a subscriber, you could watch all the paper piecing classes. And here is a trick. With Craftsy classes, when you're a subscriber, you can jump in and out of all the classes, but you can also download all the handouts. So in a paper piecing class, you always have the direction/handout/patterns that you get to download and keep. So even if you're not a subscriber down the road later, you still can keep all of the paper piecing patterns. So what are we talking about with when we came up with the block to add into the Stitching Cosmos quilt? So this is the one that I just finished up. I realized that I had part of this done, so I just had to kind of put it into the fabric and edges, and I love the way it turns out. Again, I'll probably do a little bit of highlight here just so there's a little break between the black points and the black base. But we teach you in the Stitching Cosmos course how to create your own pattern. So when I went ahead and thought, oh, let's do paper piecing, my inspiration was the New York Beauty block. And I just always love those spikes because they just turn out so perfect and people just think that everything is, it just looks so impressive. And I think you'll notice that once you get started. But I was looking for a pattern to use. I was like looking and downloading and realizing that every curve was different. I needed a curve that matched our blocks that we had been doing so far. So I actually teach you how to make your own block or curved area to paper piece. So we actually draft this out all using your cut around ruler, so it's super easy. But we teach you lots of different variations. So from the braid to the flying geese. That's the one that people always ask me, like, how do we do the flying geese? And yet it's so impressive when you actually see it done. The next thing that people always ask is, oh my gosh, where do I find paper piecing paper to draw on or print on? Well, we're not needing to print, we need to draw. And guess what we use? We use the tearaway stabilizer that you've been using on the back of your blocks because we're going to need to tear it away. And we're not making like hundreds of these. We just need to cut a piece of stabilizer. I show you how to get this exact piece. We draw out, we mark, we match. There's some super simple ones. So if you're not totally into paper piecing or don't understand the concept, that you can start and learn kind of that stitch and flip and fold techniques. My favorite thread is a very thin thread. I'm a fan of Aurifil thread for my paper piecing. And don't forget to shorten your stitch length to 1.5 millimeters and then use a small, sharp Microtex needle. It's like a size 70 because that 70 size needle and that thinner thread works great. And all those very close together stitches that you're making on that paper piecing stabilizer is going to then easily perforate it. So I've actually I removed the stabilizer from the back before I even sewed it into the block on this particular one. Then it's all said and done. You can do it either way. You can sew those curves in with the stabilizer, or if you feel comfortable, you can go ahead and take them out. So I'm super excited to have these up. And here are a variety of different paper piecing blocks from some of our students that have taken classes with me over the years in our Heirloom Creations retail store. We are in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, so if you're ever in the area, definitely stop on by or give me a shout out. Let me know you're coming and I'd be happy to meet you if I am available to check you out. Maybe bring something along that you've actually been working on. But every time I see one of our students do a paper piecing block, I'm always inspired by their colors, what they choose to put around it. And some of our students even pipe the paper piecing blocks. Did you see the little extra accents of color along the paper piecing edges? I know this is a lesson that is almost a tongue twister, but they're so impressive. And every time I turn around, so definitely take some time. If you've done your paper piecing blocks, go ahead and post those in the Facebook groups. Would love to see and ooh and ah over everything that you're working on. So my lesson here is done. What are we looking at for next month? We're looking at jumping into rufflers, gathering feet, and hemmer feet. So those are 3 accessories. I love to group these together that do a wide range of techniques, but all with a straight stitch. And so that's one thing I love to share with these feet is that all these techniques we could have done on a sewing machine that has just a straight stitch only machine. So meaning back in the day, they had rufflers, they had gathering feet, and they had hemmer feet. Maybe you've opened up an old sewing machine and realized that those weird accessories are actually in there, and that is true. But you'll want to get those for your current machines. Don't try to use those old accessories on new machines. They just don't fit. They're made for the older machines. And if you still have an embroidery machine module or unit still in the box, and you're still scared of it, make sure you check out our Embroidery Essentials online course. Again, we'll put links below where you can check out over 20 videos on how you can master your embroidery machine with us as well. So I am so excited to see what you're working on. I know summer is here and we're off doing other things, but if you have a moment to sit down at your machine and stitch out something fun, share some pictures, and let us know what you're working on. So if this is exciting for you and you are wanting to join us in our Stitching Cosmos course, I invite you to join. It doesn't matter when you join, and if you're watching these challenge videos here or our monthly kind of challenge lessons, again, you can start at any time. There's no start date and there's no end date. So those are always questions that we get. When can I start, or how do I join? So again, links are going to be below in the description, and if I've given you some tips that have been helpful, make sure you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel. So until next time, I will see your blocks and can't wait to see what you're working on. So post away, and I'll see you next time.